Welcome back, Shalligators. The world is continuing to talk about, no, not Donald Trump and the Duck Dynasty cast members that seem to be storming the Capitol. No, not that. Kim and Kanye. Yesterday, we broke down what's really going on behind the scenes with that Jeffree Star situation and the red flags that a guy is actually not ever going to change. And I said I was going to do a second part on how to leave. Like, once you realize the writing is on the wall, how do you disentangle yourself and leave? And I'm going to do that tomorrow. But some new news has broken today that I just feel like gassed up about and want to talk about more. When your man is jealous of you. Jealous of me? Oh yes. We here on this channel, what are we? We are alpha females. We are achievers, doers, acquirers, learners, and growers. And that can ruffle a lot of feathers and it can bruise a lot of egos. And so we might not have extreme examples like Kim and Kanye's, but we have probably felt some shade of this at some point where it's like, why aren't you happy for me? Where is this coming from? Why is it suddenly the things you started liking about me in the beginning are now the things you hate? Doesn't that sound and feel familiar? We're going to break it down. I'm going to tell you what's underneath all this, and most importantly, how we can fix it, right the ship, or when to actually jump ship and get out, as Kim Kardashian seems to be doing. But before we get started, I just want to remind you can shop my new necklace. Warm Blooded has been restocked. It's a collaboration with Vault NYC, which is a fantastic small business, woman owned. I mean, it's like one stellar jewelry designer chickadee who also got into medical school. Like, can you set the bar lower for the rest of us? Thank you, Diana. Head on over there before it sells out again. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, head to Cameo. You can book a little video shout out from me. I talk a lot. Or head to my website, shallonlester.com, in order to submit a written question if you want something that's a little bit more in-depth and a little bit more private. So Kim and Kanye. Okay, so Us Weekly has some new reports that Kanye was jealous of Kim and the amount of time she was spending both on her prison reform campaign and with their 4 children. Okay, just put a pin in that. I'm sorry. Also, I just really wanted to get this video up, and you know when you have a messy bun at home, you're like, I look great, and then you actually look at yourself and you're like, I look like I've had a psychotic break. I look like someone from the Capitol in Hunger Games. Do I look like that? This is a nice little front rat tail I've got going on. And I just got my hair re-dyed the other day, so it's still like dyed my hairline. I know I look a bit like a clown. That's okay. Just close your eyes and pretend it's a podcast while I fiddle with my hair. So there's that report out. And then there's another one that details what Kanye got Kim for Christmas. Christmas with a K? He got her 5 Maybachs. 5 Maybachs. To the tune of $200,000 each. That's actually cheaper than I thought a Maybach was. I thought they were like $1 million each. I don't know. I live in the country. So he spent $1 million on cars for her and then got her all these art pieces by some fucking artist. I don't know. If I were Kim, I would have been livid. Is there anything more insulting when you have told a guy how you feel, communicated exactly what was wrong, exactly what they should do to fix it, and they're like, how about a nice dinner at Olive Garden? And you're like, you motherfucker, you haven't heard one goddamn word I've ever said, have you? Also, is he not spending Kim's money? I'm sorry, I don't care what Forbes says, because Forbes is increasingly wronger and wronger and wronger. I'm losing count of the amount of retractions they've had to issue. Truly, they're not doing their research. You cannot convince me Yeezy is profitable. He hasn't had any music. He hasn't toured. And albums in and of themselves are not very profitable. It's touring that makes you money because it's selling merch. Like that is a huge way artists make money. Kanye hasn't done that, right? The last tour he had was what, St. Pablo, and he had like a psychotic break and he couldn't keep doing it. Yeezy is not profitable. I've lived in New York City. I know hype beasts and fashion people. I have never met one person, not one person, who even wears Yeezy if it's gifted. Actually, Emily Ratajkowski said that she does, and she's like, I didn't buy them. It was gifted. I certainly don't know anyone who buys Yeezy. But let's say some people do. Wow, so much beige. When I look at my wardrobe, I just want to see all the colors of baby bodily functions, from vomit to poop to just all of it. That's just what I want to see in my closet. Kim is the moneymaker. KKW Beauty just got bought by Cody for $200 million, a 20% stake. So sad, I know that. Like, she's the moneymaker there. And so if this man, who probably one of the central issues in their marriage is his extremities, and maybe that's mental illness fueled, but maybe not. It's hard to tell where one ends and personality begins, you know? And you can't say, oh, it's all just because of the mental illness. No, Kanye is an intense person, and that can be very attractive, and they can be alternately very repellent, which is ironic because that's how guys treat us, but we'll get there. So you know that if she has been complaining about the extremities in their marriage, and then this motherfucker goes and buys her 5 fucking cars she doesn't need, when she has been very explicit, she's talked in interviews a lot about how finances stress her out, and she's a budgeter, she's a saver. She's surprisingly fiscally aware and conservative, and considering she kind of doesn't have to be. I would melt down if I were her. I would melt down, be like, you know what I would have loved? Peace and fucking quiet from you. I would love it. A gift would be you delete your Twitter account for 6 months. A gift would be you organize an outing for the children. You take care of some of the house. You take something off my plate. I don't need 5 cars. But this shows how out of touch Kanye is, and how perhaps he's going to these extreme lengths, these grand gestures to make up for not doing the small things that actually create grand improvement within a relationship. Listening, communicating, taking medicine if you need it, going to therapy, not tweeting that your mother is Chris Jong-un. There would be no coming back from that. There'd be no coming back from that for me. I don't care if I had 500 kids of someone. You compare my mother to a dictator, that is the last anyone will ever hear of you. You will vanish off the face of the earth. Anyway, so there's that. Now let's get to this jealousy thing, right? Kanye is apparently very jealous that Kim is doing this prison reform thing and spending so much time with the kids. Quick aside about the kids. Have you noticed that their names are all emblematic? They're a snapshot of some sort of manic episode Kanye was having at the time. Have you noticed that? Northwest's name is a pun, and clearly Kanye named her. And I mean, Kim has said Kanye named her, and that's the name. He really wanted that name. Then we have Saint. When Kanye was on his Saint Pablo tour, he named the kid after a tour. He was also in his religious fervor. That's when that was beginning. So that's a snapshot of that. Chicago was named when he wanted to move to Chicago. Remember? He's like, we're moving to Chicago, and got in a fight with, who was it? Not Meek Mill, some rapper, not Common. I don't know. Who can keep track? And then you have Psalm, when Kanye has now started his religiosity again, and his cult following and his Sunday service and everything. This is not a man who enjoys compromise. This is not a man who wants to hear differing opinions. And this is not a man who views other people as actual people, but rather characters in the play of Kanye and possessions to be taken down off the shelf when he feels like it. We've talked before about the psychology of Kim and Kanye and how they're both narcissists, but had these very complementary angles. Kanye needed a muse to reflect back his own genius. He needed a creation to show the world, I did this. This is my creation, right? And Kim, also a classic narcissist, needed that adoration. This is why her relationship with Chris Humphries fell apart. He wasn't all about adoring her. He's like, you're not going to be relevant in 5 years. And I mean, no, I would breathe fire if someone said that to me. But he was very much like bringing her back down to earth. And she was not about that. I'm a little narcissist myself, so I get that. The difference between Kim and Kanye is Kim has moved away from that and outgrown it and grown into a mature woman, a mother, an empathetic person trying to help the world, looking at more than just her closet or her cars that she now has 5 more of, and thinking, what truly is my legacy here on this planet? She is stepping outside of herself, cultivating gratitude and an awareness for how lucky she is, and doing something to help other people. Kanye is devolving into mental illness or narcissism. And at the end of the day, does it matter? Does it matter? He doesn't seem willing to do anything about either possible scenario. And I'm looking at this from the case of like a mother protecting her children. It doesn't always matter why someone isn't a good partner. What does it matter? What does it matter? Why does it matter that a dog can't talk? Why? Why can't it talk? We don't look at a dog that can't talk and we're asking a question. What do you think about peace in the Middle East? Tell me, Waffles. Tell me. We're like, it just can't. I don't know. It's not personal. It's nothing I did. It's nothing I can fix. That's just their capabilities. We don't look at people that way. Well, why? I can plug in, I can fix them. We can just get to the root of this. How's that been going? Is that going well? Oh, it actually is making you insane and diverting you from your goals and your passion. It's eroding you and exhausting you. It's annoying the fuck out of him. It's like Halsey said so succinctly, it's so beautifully. I tried to help you. It just made you mad. And I was like, oh, isn't that it? Isn't that it? In a nutshell, right? But we're going to do another video on how to help a guy without turning into the therapist and the mom, because it is absolutely possible. And we see examples of it with celebrity couples. We'll break it down. But let's stick to the topic of jealousy. Now, jealousy we've talked about before. We talked about it in Evil Week. We talked about it in a video recently about like, I think how not to be a jealous girlfriend, whatever it was. My videos, they go like, once I do them, I'm like, what was that? Jealousy and envy are two very distinct things. That's why they're two separate terms. And people use them interchangeably, but they're not. Envy is, I want what she has, with the element of, and she doesn't deserve to have it. Why does she have that promotion? Why does she have that boyfriend or that body? Meh. I'm envious of what they have. Jealousy is the inverse. I'm afraid someone's going to take something from me. I'm a jealous girlfriend. I'm a jealous, possessive girlfriend. Those two words go together a lot. Jealous, possessive, right? And that makes sense. But when you look at someone like Kanye, or people like the people we've dated, where, like I said, the things they started out loving about you, your ambition, your maternal instinct, how loving and supportive you are, how outgoing and popular you are, what a great vocabulary, you're so witty. Those are the things they end up hating. You just never have any time for me. You're always with your friends. You just want to take care of everyone, but where's me? Where's my needs? You always got something fucking smart to say with that smart mouth. Funny how there's two sides of a coin, right? And so when you look at it like that, well, that doesn't seem to be jealousy or envy. They don't seem to want what I have. They want me not to have it, but they don't seem to want it for themselves. It's not like, I want to be doing the prison reform bill. And it doesn't seem jealous, like they're afraid I'm going to take it. It's not that. So what is it? It is pure beta male bullshit. That's it. It is pure ego-driven resentment. If we saw this with females to females, friendships, it becomes a lot clearer. It's like, why do you have such a problem with me being verified on Instagram? Or that I got into Dartmouth and you're going to Duke? Like, where is this coming from? It's just fucking resentment. And do you know where that comes from? Weak egos. Now, you could look at a narcissist and be like, Kanye doesn't have a weak ego. He thinks he's the greatest person in the world. Does he? Or is he so desperate to make everyone think that so that he can justify it to himself? Confidence is quiet. You don't hear Barack and Michelle saying shit like this, do you? No. You never heard Kobe saying stuff like that, did you? No. Adele doesn't go around saying, I'm the greatest, I'm a genius. No, they don't need to. Their intelligence, their acumen, their perspicacity, and their vocabulary, it all speaks for itself without actually having to go out and say it, right? Now, I'm not advocating for humility. I think humility is for cowards. I do. I think humility is a construct of the patriarchy. It's like, be humble. Fuck you. No, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Someone said on this channel the other day, because I mentioned that we were talking about Hilaria Baldwin, American Hillary, that I was like, you know, I speak French and Italian, and someone's like, it's so cringe that you bring that up. I'm like, it's cringe. I'm proud of how educated I am. It's cringy that I am proud of myself for speaking 3 languages and I'm learning my 4th. I think it's cringe you're so proud of being dumb. That seems a little cringe to me. Kind of pressed. Anyway, the people who hate our accomplishments, who hate our gifts and talents that the rest of the world is like, amazing. You're a kick-ass mom. You're doing things for prison reform. You're getting these degrees. You're opening these businesses. You're changing your body. You're building healthy friendships. The people who don't like that is because they cannot do it themselves. Kanye looks at Kim and is like, I can't do that. All I can do is sturm and drang on the internet and I'm a genius. Are you? What have you made? What have you made, Kanye? You had some good albums like literally a decade ago, right? And now it's like, what do you do besides just create a lot of noise that seems to fascinate people, but for the wrong reasons? You're just a constant, like, car wreck. You're a clown. People don't respect clowns. They're not, what nuance, subtlety, and intelligence is emanating off this person in that weird wig? They're laughing at them, not necessarily with them. Kim, on the other hand, is building something real. And when weak people see someone strong stepping out of maybe a persona of weakness or of vapidity or one-dimensionality and into something deeper, when she is going out on that emotional ledge and saying, you know what? You might know me as a girl who sucked dick and on a sex tape. I'm going to be a lawyer now. And I saved that woman's life and I got that person out of prison. What the fuck have you guys done? That takes a lot of risk, doesn't it? I'm going to be a good mom to 4 rambunctious kiddos, right? That takes risk. And Kanye is looking at her and is like, no. So he's going to try to box her in, right? When people can't be us, they engage in something called leveling. We talked about this before, where when the ego is bruised, and the ego means your sense of identity, what you believe about yourself, not necessarily what is true, but what you believe about yourself. The story you're telling yourself, right? The good story, not the bad fear-based story, the good story. I'm the best. And then someone comes along, you're like, I'm the prettiest girl in this town. And then someone walks through the door and they're like, fuck, is it that YouTuber from New York who just moved here? And suddenly you're not the prettiest girl in that town anymore. And so what do you do? What do you do? Leveling. Leveling means people either puff themselves up or they cut the other person down until they feel like the playing field's been equaled. And usually it's a combination. So that girl in the bar is going to go over to that YouTuber who just moved here from New York. Is going to be like, oh, that outfit, you don't blend in here, honey. And that YouTuber is going to say, that's the fucking point. So what has Kanye been doing to Kim? Leveling, boxing her in, trying to reorient her energy away from things that she cares about, prison reform, her children, back to him. And isn't he the biggest child of all? Because what has he been doing? He has been doing the macro equivalent of throwing a fucking tantrum in Target, right? I go to Target every day. I see a lot of tantrums. And him going to Wyoming, him tweeting things. Now, of course, there was mental illness at play, but it's not out of the realm of it's not out of the realm of conceptualization. I feel like am I having a stroke right now? Is that what this is? You know what I'm saying? It's not out of his wheelhouse of behavior to do those things. He's done things like that, you know, somewhere on the spectrum of extremity. His entire career, that's his entire personality. And I didn't say brand for a reason, because this isn't a brand he's crafted or persona. This is him. And I cannot imagine how exhausted Kim must be. I am exhausted for her. I look at these behaviors and she's in Wyoming and all this stuff, and it's like, Kim, I'm tired for you. And let's talk about Wyoming. His whole reason for wanting to move out there was that was his big gun. That was his artillery fire to get his wife in line, right? She's not going to be running off to DC when we live 5 hours from an airport. She's not going to have the wherewithal to take these slutty pictures and have men love her and say that she's got other options if we're in the middle of like homesteading and like digging septic wells or whatever. He wanted to isolate her. And don't we talk about that as the hallmark of an abusive person? I'm not saying Kanye is like a wife beater or something like that, but I think we could make a very good case that his behavior has been what I call like fatigue abuse, where someone just grinds you down and they control you and until you just give in because you're just so fucking tired. You're tired of hearing them rant or nag or belittle you or whatever it is. And you're like, fine. Yes, I love you. Fine. It's fine. Just leave me alone. I'll do whatever you want if you just shut the fuck up for a minute. Can't you kind of see that being at play in their relationship? He wanted to get her out there to isolate her from her family, from the industry. Let me just tuck her away and see if someone's going to just forget about her. And then I'm going to be the big, bright, shining star. I'm going to have all the control. I don't need to look at this super effective newfound alpha female doing all these things and creating all these things and have to look myself in the mirror and say, well, Kanye, what have you done lately? right? Don't weak people want to surround themselves with other weak people so that they feel stronger by comparison? And don't alphas want to be around other alphas? And isn't that what makes us alphas? We're not pack leaders. We are pack builders. I want to be around strong people. I want my friends to get into new colleges, get new jobs, make more money, lose the weight they want to lose, get a great boy. I want that because that makes me better in return, right? I'm like, she's very fit. Well, okay, I guess we're doing a workout today. I don't want to cut people down. I don't need to. I have a completely healthy sense of self, right? Someone else's successes don't take away from mine. I see another hot girl walk into a bar. I'm like, yes, that means I've got someone on my level to talk to. That means she's going to approach me as an equal and we can be friends. I see a bunch of like dumpy little betas come in. I'm like, here we fucking go. I was at a party the other day and this beta chick she was just chirping and sniping at me. And I'm like, you are not my competition. So I don't know why you're being so mean to me. Like, I just want to be like friends with you and you're just taking dig after dig after dig. And like, way to self-identify that you're not on my level. For real. And the hottest girl at the party was like, oh my gosh, I love your earrings. I was like, I love your earrings. And fast friends, right? Funny how that works. So what do you do if you're realizing the man in your life isn't your biggest fan after all? Maybe he's an enemy on the inside. I use that term enemy to wake you up, right? Because we think we know what an enemy or an ally is. We think we know. Of course, I'd recognize an enemy if I saw one. Would you? Because you have one in your life. You have one in your home and in your bed and in your vagina all the time. Do you know that? What is an enemy? I don't know, girl. What's your rubric for that? I know exactly what an enemy means to me. An enemy is someone who does not support my dreams, right? Who cuts me down either when I'm already low or when I'm high and I'm trying to celebrate and they're like, well, but did you? That's all an enemy needs to be an enemy. They don't have to come to my house guns a-blazing. They don't have to hit my dog with their car. They can just attack the things that I like most about myself. And they can press on the things that I like least. And boom, you just put yourself in a very unpleasant category. And I don't care how long someone's been in my life. I don't care if they're blood related to me. I don't care if I'm sleeping with them. If they demonstrate these things, that's it. So what are your enemy deal breakers? How do you define an enemy? Stop relying on nostalgia, fantasy, or history for why it's okay that someone's treating you. Well, he's just going through a hard time. You know what? I've gone through a lot of hard times. I've never once shit all over my friends for something they were proud of or something they felt bad about. Never one time. And I bet you haven't either, right? Your friend comes to you crying, I don't feel good about my body. It's like, well, you are fat. You would never say that. You would never even think it. You would pull up for them because you love them and because you don't need to cut them down because you're a whole person on your own. People like Kanye West, sometimes the people we date aren't. So it's important to stop making excuses. It doesn't matter that they're stressed. And don't dress it up in words like jealousy. I don't know. He's envious because his life is not where yours is. Or sometimes we see the opposite. I remember I dated this guy, Jack. I should just say his last name because he dumped me on Valentine's Day. Fucking douchebag. He went to Yale. He was like one of the editors of The Onion. He was tall, hot, like he was just the classic white man doing great in New York City, right? And at the time, I was a writer for the New York Daily News. I'm educated, but by a lot of metrics, he's kind of high. He was a little higher in the food chain than me. That's fine. I was happy for him. Women never compete against their boyfriends. Men always compete against us. And doesn't this keep us in these toxic situations so much longer? Because we just like can't get our head around the fact that that's actually what's happening. It's like, why would he say something like that? Because he's competing against you. You are a competitor to him. And we don't view people that way. So Jack would just like undercut what I did and, oh, you're going to go on a red carpet again. I'm like, bro, you work for the fucking Onion. You don't even write real news. I at least do. And I just like snapped and said that one time and he was like bristled. And I was like, you started it. You can push me and you can poke me And when I snap big. I fall like a thunderbolt, and I will cut you to the bone. I will hone in on things and just go for the throat. And it's like, you started it. Don't start it with me. I would never say something like that to you. You said it to me, now here we are. And it took me a really long time to realize how fully he resented me, because I was so caught up in the idea of there's no reason for him to. He's higher than me on the food chain. He's hot. Like, also, like, I love him. Like, there's no, what's so wrong in your life? Talking dog. Let's go back to the talking dog. Why can't the dog talk? But why? I don't know. I move on with my life. Why is this tall, hot, rich, successful, smart white man so bitter? I don't care anymore. I cared very much at 24 when I was dating him. I don't care now. If that's your malfunction, if you want to look at me sideways, bye. A guy I dated in Montana who I liked so much, very much. And he was so funny and he was so smart and he was an ex-army sniper and owned his own business. And he would just pick at my career. He'd be like, oh, did you work today for your job? And I finally said, if you don't understand what my career means to me, you don't understand anything about me. And again, you haven't heard one word I've ever said. And if you're not listening to me and you don't respect me, well, you could never love me. I find it hard to believe you'd even be attracted to me. I'm not attracted to people who I'm not listening to and I don't respect, who I think is kind of an idiot at all. So if this is what you're dealing with, it is never going to get better. It's never going to get better. The only way it could is if you dropped everything and reoriented to him. Oh, well, what can we do to boost your ego, to make you feel better? Let's get you some projects. Let's get you graduated. Are you fucking kidding me? Stop parenting a man who's not your son. So that's the best possible outcome, right? That he feels better in and of himself because you've reoriented and plugged completely into him. So he still comes out a winner because you've abandoned everything that he had resented about you. Not bad. Or you just get smaller and smaller and quieter until you are living in this emotional silence. Shh, don't wake the baby. Don't wake the dragon. When we tiptoe in life, when we tiptoe and we're being quiet, we're avoiding a bad outcome, aren't we? I don't want to wake something up. I don't want to trip this alarm. I don't want to wake that dragon or that bear, right? When we're tiptoeing emotionally, how is that different? We're trying to avoid a very bad outcome. A bad outcome as we see it, which is Kanye's going to go on a rant. He's going to do something bad to the family. My boyfriend's going to belittle me. He's going to cut me down. He's just going to nag me until I'm so tired. How about this? If it's fragile, let it break. And whether that's the fragility of your relationship with a weak-ass beta bitch, a cuck bitch, or it's the fragility of his own ego. You're not responsible for that man's ego. Men are just such a constant disappointment. They are great white sharks that starve to death. They are. They're at the top of the food chain. I'm sorry, no matter what race they are, they're higher than any woman. That's how that is, okay? They're physically stronger and faster. They're never going to know physical vulnerability in the same deep ingrained way that women do. They're never going to know the same kind of like, that's, you want to be a what? They don't get those messages. We do. And yet, they have somehow installed a button on all of us that's boop, press for pity. Oh, he's just so stressed and there's something going on and his workload's high. You are looking at a great white shark and you are throwing yourself into the water as chum. That's what you're doing when you do that. There's no way it could feed itself. Then it dies. That's a failure to thrive. Mother Nature is real clear about that. And somehow we're not. Oh, let me just quiet down. Let me just shrink. Oh, let me just drop this. Let me reorient and plug into him. Let me the fuck not. Okay? I am proud of Kim for leaving. I think she's going to be a kick-ass single mom. I think she is going to feel a sense of freedom and lightness that maybe she's never felt before. You know, when people are like, ugh, 40 on her third divorce. Yeah, okay. But maybe she's not going to have any more divorces. And maybe she's learned same lessons we all learn, just a little bit more publicly, you know? I feel for her. Her life isn't easy. I mean, it's easy in the ways that a lot of our lives are hard. Financially, her life is easy. Logistically, her life is easy. Emotionally, I don't think her life is easy at all. I mean, imagine having to go through the worst pain of your life in public. It's brutal. You know, I feel her on that. I want to know if you guys have dated dudes who are jealous, resentful, bitter, minimizing, isolating. What did you do about it? How did you get out of it? Because that's the topic of our next video. Once you see these people for who they are, and this could be a friendship, this could be a family situationship, this could be a job that is treating you like this. The most abusive relationship I've ever had in my life has always been with my jobs. It was never a boyfriend. It was never bad friends. It's not my family. It's people who I've worked for. And why do you think I work for myself now? And this is the hardest job I've ever had, but nobody is going to put me in a box now. So tell me what you guys think. We're going to be back tomorrow, going on, rolling on. I'll see you later, Shalligators.